Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Divorce Den, your safe space to talk about divorce, separation, anything related to it, and to help you set yourself up for success now and into the future after your divorce. Today, we're going to talk about 7 tips that are really going to help you focus on yourself and your divorce by staying out of court. 7 benefits to you staying out of court and making sure that you're putting your family first. My name is Liz Vaz. I'm an attorney licensed in New York, but I am not your attorney. So what I'm going to be doing today is talking to you about the benefits of staying out of court when you're getting divorced. But what I will not be doing is giving you legal advice. If you need legal advice, please seek out an attorney in your area, preferably a collaborative attorney, someone who has been trained in the alternative dispute resolution process, who can really give you tips and guidance and real sound legal advice that do not involve running to court. There are so many benefits when it comes to staying out of court if you're getting divorced. Today, we're just going to focus on 7. If you can think of any others, if there's something that you'd like to take a deeper dive into, something that you have questions on, anything that you want to discuss here in your divorce den, please make sure that you leave a comment, you send a message, and you let us know so that we can address it for next time. And so without further ado, let's discuss the 7 benefits of staying out of court if you're getting divorced. And all of these tips are going to revolve around the collaborative divorce process. We're going to have many videos coming out that really take a deep dive into what the collaborative divorce process looks like, but these 7 benefits really do revolve around that. Number 1, understanding the collaborative process. Again, we're going to be taking a deeper dive into what the collaborative process really entails, because explaining it in maybe a minute or two won't really do it justice. But having a deep understanding as to what it means, where you will have an attorney, your spouse will have an attorney, and both of those attorneys are specifically trained in the collaborative model, as well as bringing in the other team members who are also trained in the collaborative model, is really very important to understand. That is going to save you so much time, money, and energy by having a trained team working with you. Having the right team set up from the beginning really will set you on the path to success. The very first thing that we're all going to agree on is not going to court. We are all signing a document that says no one is going to court. Not me as the attorney, not the financial neutral, not the other attorney, not the facilitator, not a parent coordinator. No matter who is there in the team, they are swearing by signing this document that they are not going to go to court. This process really helps us tailor the entire situation, the entire negotiation, everything around you and your family. So you having a really deep understanding as to how the process works is going to help you on the path forward, and that's really one of the huge benefits of staying out of court. Second benefit to staying out of court, it saves you a lot of time and money. When you're in court getting divorced, there is a lot of time. I mean, a tremendous amount of time that is wasted. You go to court. If you have a 9 o'clock call, you show up at 9 o'clock, your attorney shows up at 9 o'clock, and at least where I practice, I can guarantee you that you're sitting there for a minimum of an hour, minimum, probably even more. Sometimes it has even taken my cases longer than the morning. So we've been there at 9 o'clock. The morning call is usually over by 12:30, 1 o'clock. They close for lunch at 1 o'clock. They don't open up again until 2:30, and then we're heard after 2:30. So we are there the entire time, doing nothing, waiting and waiting. So all of that time that you've been waiting to be heard by the judge, a lot of times you don't even get to see the judge, and all you get to see is the judge's law clerk, or sometimes even the calendar person, just to set up another court appearance, 30, 60, 90 days out, depending on the judge's calendar. And do you know what happens that entire morning that your attorney is sitting there, that you're sitting there? Your attorney's billing you for it, because they can't do any other work. They can't be billing somebody else, and they're only there on your matter. Then you're getting charged for the 1 hour, the 2 hours, sometimes the 4 or 5 or 6 hours that they have spent in court for that day to get nothing done. So you're saving a lot of time and a lot of money if you are tailoring your process to what you need. In the collaborative divorce model, what we can do is make schedules and make appointments around a convenient time for you. So we don't have to say, you have to show up next Monday at 9 o'clock. Well, next Monday at 9 o'clock, maybe you have a big presentation at work. Maybe you have things that you need to be doing with your kids. Maybe you're sick that day. We can create a schedule that works for you and works for your family. And we ensure that if the meeting starts at 9 o'clock, you know what time we start? 9 o'clock. We don't wait until 10 or 11 or until after lunch. Your time is your time and money is respected by the entire team, and it is used effectively as long as we all have the information that we need and we're able to move forward. The way that we can navigate this process is 10 times, maybe even more efficient than being in the court system. There's no wasted time, there's no wasted money, and there's no wasted energy. And while there's no guarantees as to how long anything's going to take, if you are in control of the calendar and setting the schedule, it can be done in a much more time and cost-effective way. And generally, we can complete your case in a much quicker time period than if you were litigating it. We're not waiting on a judge to make a schedule. We're not waiting on outside influences to help us make a decision. This is your process. You and your spouse set the tone, set the pace, and we are here as a team to support you. So saving time and money. Number 2, huge benefit. Number 3, benefit to staying out of court and remaining in the collaborative divorce model as opposed to going to court is there's a lot less emotional turmoil. When you're in court, it's so unpredictable. From the court officer to the judge to court personnel to other cases that are going on, there's a lot of chaos going on in that courtroom. You are already feeling stressed walking in there, not knowing what to expect, not knowing what's going to be said to you, not understanding maybe what you're supposed to be providing in the courtroom, having your attorney maybe handling 2 or 3 other cases, running around doing other things. It's a lot of anxiety and a lot of stress that someone can be feeling. In the collaborative model, it's the complete opposite. The only person in control is you and your team there to support you. Our goal and our focus is only on you during that time. So the emotions that you're feeling can be much more easily managed. And while we're not therapists, we are there as a support system. You will have the facilitator, who is a trained mental health professional, to help you with communication, to help you really get to the bottom of what it is that you're trying to say, or at least help you think about what you want to say maybe in the next meeting. But you're never going to be shouted at. You're not going to be expected to be put under the microscope or come up with settlement ideas on the fly. You're not going to have the same pressures that you would in court in the collaborative model. Again, the team is there to help you, to listen to your interests, and to help support and foster any communication between the two of you so we can come to a resolution. Your emotional needs can be met with therapy, with a divorce coach outside of the actual collaborative team. However, we are really there to honor and respect the fact that you might have emotional needs that need to be met. You might feel emotionally overwhelmed, and we are trained in that, we understand that, and we would respect that, and we would take a step back. You're not going to get that same understanding in court. They just don't have the time. They don't have the resources. They would say, move this along. You need more resources, get out and go get it. What we would do in a collaborative model is say, we understand that, we recognize that, how can we help you? And then we would help in whatever way we can, resolve what we can, give you the resources, and then welcome you back as soon as you're ready. So instead of ripping each other apart and tearing each other down, which might happen in the court system because of the nature of how litigious it is, in the collaborative model, the team is there to help foster what it is that you need, and we are there to help foster those communications so that you and your soon-to-be ex-spouse can make the best decisions for you with less anxiety and less stress. The fourth benefit to remaining in the collaborative process instead of choosing litigation is the best interest of the children. Putting your kids' best interests up front and center and not worrying about putting them to the side when we're dealing with all of these other things if we're in court, like deadlines, like discovery, like abiding by whatever court orders there are at the time. Our focus really can be on your kids, whether your children are young, whether they're adults, and honestly, even if you don't have children, focusing on your best interest and your extended family's best interest. Our goal in the collaborative process is to make sure that your interests and needs are front and center, not the constraints or being dictated to by a court. That's not what drives us. What drives us is your needs, your interests, and what it is that you want for the future. And if you do have children and you need a parent coordinator, or you need a child specialist, or you need anyone there who can help with special needs children, maybe children who are going to college, you need something very specific for your children, we have resources that can help you with that. If you have these needs and you're in court, I can pretty much guarantee you're on your own. The court's going to say, go get those resources. Whereas in the collaborative model, it is more holistic, it is more caring, and our focus, again, is always on the best interest of you, your kids, and your entire family. So we will make sure that we find the right fit for you, even if it's someone who is not necessarily in the team, someone who's outside of the team, that's fine. As long as you have the right fit, we're going to be there to support you in that decision. And while most courts throughout the United States, specifically in New York, where I am licensed to practice, the court does consider the best interests of the children, but the best interest standard is very subjective, meaning it's up to a judge to interpret and decipher what is the best interest for your child. Do you know how much time that judge gets to spend with your child, to get to know your child, to figure out what's best for your child? Yeah, about zero time. So how would they know what's best? So again, in the collaborative model, our focus is the best interest of your kids because you know your children. We know that you know them best. You know what's going to work for them, what's going to work for your family specifically. So that's why we always want to keep it front and center and make sure that you have all of the resources that you need and you can rely on the team to make sure that you set your kids up for success now and down the road. Same thing with yourself. Benefit number 5 to staying in the collaborative model and not going to court is maintaining privacy and control. Most people don't know that in New York specifically, and I'm sure it's the same across the United States in many jurisdictions, the court where you get divorced, Supreme Court in New York, is an open courtroom. That means anyone can go sit in the back of the court. That means that your neighbor can be back there, a coworker can be back there, complete strangers can be back there. Everybody hears what's going on in the courtroom. So if it's an open court where you are expected to speak, no matter what it's about, if it's just a simple status conference where you're just giving the status of the matter, this is what we discussed last time. We've made some, inroads, and this is what we've agreed to, and then you leave. Or it can just be motion practice where you're really fighting it out. Your attorneys are fighting it out, and there's some real there's some really interesting things being shouted back and forth, some really interesting accusations, and really some really intimate details that are going to be put out there on the record. Everyone in the back of the courtroom, they're hearing this. They hear all of it. The open courtroom means that everyone hears all of your business. It's literally out there for everyone to hear. In the collaborative model, it's private. We're in a safe space, whether it's a virtual Zoom room, whether it is in one of the professionals' offices, or sometimes it's on a telephone call. There is nobody who's sitting there transcribing this. There is no open courtroom. We don't have benches in the back. We don't have seats in the back with spectators sitting there, twiddling their thumbs and listening to every word that you're saying and listening to all of the intimate details of your life. That's nobody's business. Literally nobody's business. So a concern of mine and a lot of professionals in this industry really is about protecting the privacy of your family, especially your children, who really should not be subject to having their public information put out there. But if you're in a courtroom, that's just how it is. Everyone knows your kids' names. They know the issues that your children are having if it's all being discussed in open court. So maintaining your privacy and your confidentiality inside the collaborative model, inside the collaborative team, is really paramount. We take it very seriously. Not only is there attorney-client privilege where we can't just go discussing this with anyone, but we maintain that privilege within the entire team. So we as a team will talk about things in order to make the situation better for you. And now, in addition to you not necessarily, no, nope. And now, in addition to you not having all of your information out there in the public, It really gives you a sense of control over the situation, how quickly we progress, or maybe how many steps we need to take back for you to say, wait a minute, I just need to process this a little bit more. I need to think about this decision that we've made or this topic that we're discussing. We can take a step back. It is a very dignified process, whereas when you're in the courtroom, the confidentiality is right out the window because you're talking about it in an open courtroom. But sometimes you're also expected to make pretty quick decisions. Okay, so what is it that you want? You want every other Friday with your children? Okay, that's what I want. And a judge will make that decision right there on the bench, make it into a court order, and then that's what you have. And then you remember, wait a minute, every Friday I have to work late. That's not going to work. But you didn't have the time, the space, the dignity to sit there and really think about it. So, again, the benefit of staying in the collaborative model is that confidentiality and maintaining the control over the situation. You need to take a beat? We'll take a beat. You make a decision now and then you decide, wait a minute, I didn't think that through all the way, or that's not going to work because my schedule just changed. No problem. You come back and you let us know, and we can make those changes in real time. Make sure that it works for you and your family. Benefit number 6 to staying outside of court and staying in the collaborative model is creating those custom solutions. So, just like I was saying before, if you decide that this parenting schedule really is going to work, and we put it on paper, you've worked it out, and then you actually even start implementing it, and then after a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you decide, wait a minute, I didn't understand, or I didn't realize this might be more complicated. This is further away than I thought. I'm not able to do this every Friday because my work schedule. We can change that. We can update it. We can make sure that it works for the both of you and make sure that it works for your kids. We don't want you to be locking yourself into something that's not going to be successful long term. Our goal is to help the both of you create an agreement that makes sense today and leaves us enough latitude to make sure that you can put in there any updates that need to be made. If you're making an agreement today and you have two 5-year-old twins, well, it's going to look very different in a year from now. Never mind in 5 years from now. The needs of 5-year-olds are different than the needs of 10-year-olds. So we want to make sure that we're supporting you in creating something that makes sense for today and down the road. And even if it's not about child custody, what if it's about your finances, about when you're going to sell a house, about how you're going to divide retirement assets? No matter what it is, this is a solution that can be crafted for you and your family. If you were in court, a judge would say, "This is the law, this is what we dictate, and I'm going to use the basic formula. I'm going to write the prescription basically. X, Y, and Z. This is how we do it. There you go. Get out of my courtroom." And again, it's not about being disrespectful to the judges or to the courts. They don't have the time to sit there and say, you know what, let me hear your interests. Let me hear about what your concerns are for the future. What is it that you're frightened of? What is it that you feel like you need more support with? If they did that with everyone, they would never be able to get through their caseload. Judges are very, very overwhelmed. So they're not going to create a custom solution for you. What they're going to say is, this is what the law dictates. Here's what you get. Here's what you get out. So again, when we stay in the collaborative model, we can create what makes sense for the both of you. And benefit number 7 to staying in the collaborative model and staying outside of court is preserving relationships. Like it or not, this person that you married, that you had a family with, that your extended families were probably very close, that person is going to be part of your life for a very long time. Now, it's going to change, right? The nature of your relationship is going to change. It's going to shift. And maybe it's not ever going to be close. Maybe the two of you really will never speak in any deep or meaningful way again. And that's okay. However, you want to be able to preserve your relationships at least on a level that you can be respectful, especially if you have children. If you have kids, you don't want to be constantly fighting with your ex. Not only will it create a lot of anxiety and strife for you and for your soon to be ex, but it generally will mean that you're going to be back in court more often. And I promise you, your kids are going to know. They will feel it. It will be reflected in what they do, what they say. Other family members will also echo these sentiments, these feelings of resentment. And all of those feelings when you're going through divorce, if you're doing it in court, those negative feelings are amplified to the 100th degree. 100th. I promise you, I have seen people walk into court seemingly on edge, seemingly annoyed, and they leave in a complete meltdown because the way the pressures are put on them in the courtroom, whether it's from their attorney, the system, the judge yelling at them, maybe just getting rushed up there and getting rushed back, trying to make these hard decisions that they can't in the moment, they have complete meltdowns because it's just too hard. It's too hard emotionally. It's just too hard to really navigate. It's too hard to even think about logically. So, in the collaborative process, we really work to preserve those relationships. Again, with the understanding we're not trying to make the two of you reconcile, we're not marriage therapists, but what we are doing is ensuring that you have all the tools you need so the two of you can speak to each other as much or as little as you want to, but in a way that's respectful, in a way that preserves the family unit in a new way, right? We understand that the family is going to shift and change. It's going to be a whole transition, but we want to make sure that we give you the tools to set you up for success later. That is never the court's intention. The court's intention is to resolve the conflict, get it onto a piece of paper, make it a court order, give it to you, and then you leave. Our goal is to ensure that you have an agreement that's going to be lasting. Even if that agreement is not 100% what it is that you wanted, when you have the buy-in, when your voice is heard in creating that agreement, then it's going to be much more long lasting. And then you are going to feel more satisfied with the results so that there won't be such bitterness down the road. So those relationships do not have to be completely disintegrated. They're just going to change. So thank you so much for joining us on the Divorce Den today. I hope that you found those 7 benefits of staying in the collaborative model and not in court to be very helpful, to be beneficial. And just remember that by choosing the collaborative model, you maintain control over your finances, over your emotions, over the money, and you really craft something with the team that's going to be long lasting. So if you or anyone you know is thinking about getting divorced or separated, please consider the collaborative model. Do not waste time, money, or energy in court. And we thank you for joining us here at the Den, and we look forward to seeing you next time.